We are still in our action to partially update the course for an alter. When we call return validation problem, passing through the model state, we're executing an action on controller base. However, this method doesn't take into account how we configure the API controller to behave on invalid model states. It's only used if we look at our startup helper extensions. We see that we configured a new invalid model state response factory. This one isn't used by the validation problem method from our action controller. It is only used when input is validated via the model binder. But we can, quite easily, fix that. We're back in our courses controller. What we can do is override that validation problem method. Instead of returning base.validation problem, we want the invalid model state response factory, as we configured it previously, to handle this. We defined that on the options for API behavior, so we get an instance of API behavior options by calling into getRequiredServices on the request services collection. iOptions is defined in Microsoft.extensions.options, so let's import that namespace. On these options, we can then execute our custom invalid model state response factory. That expects the current controller context as a parameter, so we pass that through. We no longer need this last statement here, and this should be it. Let's give this a try. We're back in Postman. Let's send one of the invalid requests from the previous demo again. And there we go. This time we get back a 422 unprocessable entity, and we see a bit more detail in the response body. One more question remains to be answered. What should we keep into account when validating input when upserting with patch? Let's check that out next.